Good evening, classmates and Professor Kilpatrick at San Diego Christian College. My name is Alan Smith, and I'm presenting tonight a study regarding the impact of school resource officers and the programs on the campuses that they're assigned to. This fulfills the requirements of the Capstone project for San Diego Christian College, and I'm thankful to be able to present this to you. First, I would like to give you a little background of my experience and the reason that I chose to do this particular study. I have 25 years of experience in law enforcement and just retired from the police force last year. 15 of my last 25 years was spent as a school resource officer in a high school. I worked in Southlake, Texas, and I worked with 9th and 10th graders each school year at a campus in Southlake Carroll Independent School District. I was an employee of the Southlake Police Department and assigned as a school resource officer to protect, to mentor, to teach, to serve, and to be a security presence on the campus there each day during the school year. As part of my experience as a police officer, I have worked in patrol, I have worked in criminal investigations. I was a field training officer, which means that I had a chance to train new officers as they were hired on, and I also trained new school resource officers as they were brought into the schools. I'm married and a father of 3. My oldest is 25 years old. My son is in the middle. My oldest is a daughter. My son is in the middle. He's 22, and my youngest is 17 now. When I retired from police work, I accepted a job with another local school district known as the Grapevine-Colleyville Independent School District in Texas as the Director of Emergency Management and School Security. I have many opportunities to serve many more campuses now in this school district, where I'm responsible for the safety and security and the emergency management drills and all emergency management processes at 18 campuses and 14,000 kids. While I was a school resource officer, I helped design a school resource officer program in Southlake that included all campuses in the Southlake Independent School District, and all children had the opportunity to have an officer assigned to their campus. That included from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And I'm proud to say is a model program for many programs around the state now who would like to have school resource officers in all of their campuses. When I retired from police work and went to work with the Grapevine-Colleyville Independent School District as the security manager, I stepped away from the law enforcement side of it and went more strictly to the safety and security. And so the actual study of the impact of a school resource officer on the campus that they serve is particularly interesting to me, just from a personal standpoint, but as well as the actual impact that it makes on the students, staff, community, and other stakeholders that are concerned about the security, safety of our children, and that are concerned about the use of a police officer on a school campus. In my study, I was able to complete a survey, and I sent it out to everyone that I could think of. I was able to get 172 responses to that survey, which I was rather proud of, and thought that that gave me plenty of opportunity to really look at some information in depth on my study. The survey itself consisted of 12 questions, and those 12 questions ranged anywhere from how important do you think it is to have a school resource officer, to how do you view the overall impact, to more specific questions like do you believe that the use of an officer in a public school leads to more convictions for crime or leads students down a path because they may be caught more often and down a path to a life of crime or a life of incarceration. And so some of the questions were, while specific, really touched on the overall impact of what the school resource officer did for the school campus. I was able to pull research from San Diego Christian Online Library, as well as research online and several classes that I've attended throughout my career to be able to learn more about how the school resource officer impacts the culture and the campus that they're assigned to. When I questioned different groups of people on the survey, I asked them to respond to a question to tell me how they were affiliated or what their position was in regards to a school resource officer. Interestingly, I found that almost an equal number of respondents came from each category: parents, student resource officers or supervisors, or other police officers, principals, teachers, or counselors, students and or other stakeholders in the community that might not be assigned to a school. Each one of those received almost 25%, and I was able to break those down fairly evenly. So the big question was, what was the overall impact, or what do you view as the overall impact of a student resource officer on campus that you either attend or serve, or your child attends, or you are a teacher or administrator on that campus? Slightly more than 98% of my 172 respondents responded that the program was a positive impact, and I do agree with that. Only 3 of the 172 answered other than positive, while only 1 responded that it was a negative impact. 2 responded that they do not know. And so I believe that the overall impact, at least from my own personal belief and personal knowledge from working in the field for so long, matches what came out in my survey, which is almost 100% people agree that a student resource or a school resource officer is a positive impact, a positive role model on the schools that they serve. There's many concerns when it comes to the use of police on school campuses, and the biggest concern is that the use of the school police officer increases safety and security. This is very important today in the world in which we live, when we don't know exactly what someone may do to jeopardize the safety and security of our students and our teachers and our staff. The presence of a school resource officer on campus, 97% of my respondents believed increased security and safety of the campus. This question received the most positive answers, and only 3% of respondents gave an answer that was negative or unsure to the question. And I believe that this question received the most positive responses because the fact that people want our children to be safe, just like the police officers who serve as the school resource officers want the children to be safe. And security and safety is perhaps the most central issue of the school resource officer program. The study of the impact of school resource officers on the students and staff, stakeholders, and community is an ongoing study. Many people are interested in what the impact of that resource officer has on their campus. Yet sometimes it's hard to actually quantify that because you can't actually judge whether the officer prevented a crime or not. And what I mean by that is, if you have a police car parked out in front of a school, does a bad guy pass by? And if a bad guy passes by, you cannot put a number, a date, a time, or a crime to that bad guy passing by that school. The only thing that you can do to actually quantify whether a bad event took place is wait for something to happen. And I believe that the presence, just the mere presence of a school resource officer on a campus, will alleviate most people from showing up and wanting to commit a bad deed. So the survey of involved parties and their opinions and perception of the school resource program is the best way to determine whether that positive or negative impact is occurring. And it's more than just merely statistical data. The real impact is measured in maybe the years after children graduate. The impact of the entire culture at at the school? Do kids believe that they're safe when they're attending their schools? Did the officer have an impact on a child that really made them choose the right path, or turn over a new leaf, or go into the career that they wanted? Was that officer had the ability to mentor and to help that kid choose the right path in life and make right decisions? I'm proud to say that many of the students that I had when I worked at Carroll High School and specifically served have come back to me and have gone on to do great things, many great things. And I'm just so thankful that I had the opportunity to serve in that capacity and to really make an influence in kids' lives. And I believe that most school resource officers are really in their position to do that very thing, and that's to impact kids' lives in a positive way while they're protecting them, while they're serving them. If we look deeply into the use of an officer at a school, some people would believe that it has a detrimental impact simply because the officer is in uniform or a government official, or they're actually conducting law enforcement activities, and they don't really see the positive side of how the right officer in the right school setting can really make an impact on a child for a long time. The officer also has the ability to make an impact on families. And when the officer can interject themselves and have the ability to help turn a kid's life around, or maybe just give advice to the parent and instruct them, maybe instruct the parent on drug and alcohol issues, or any kind of misbehavior that the police officer would get involved with, then they have the opportunity to really affect the whole family. I'm blessed to say that when I was a school resource officer, I had more than actually many opportunities to share Christ with people as they were going through really tough times. As a police officer and wearing a uniform in a school building, many people said, "You're not allowed to mix church and state. You're not allowed to mix government and God. You're not allowed to talk to us about Jesus Christ." And God took care of me in such fine fashion, as he does, because he's faithful, that as I shared the gospel with people when they were really in their toughest hour, they saw that there was an officer there in their school that really cared about their children, that cared about what happened to their families, that even cared about their eternal life. And so people appreciated that. And it turned out to be just the most wonderful part of my life as a job or a career that I could have. And so God uses school resource officers just like he'll use anybody in any profession, like he'll use each one of you in your business ideas that you've opened up in the class, just like he'll use each one of you in your own church life as you're going back and ministering now with your degree. The school resource officer has an impact as much as the school resource officer wants to have an impact, and that's true in any part of life. I'm thankful that I was able to present this study to you in video form. Please look at my PowerPoint and compare it with the video presentation here. And as you do, you'll see that I'm following along with my notes. There's also a couple of videos in my PowerPoint. It can be found under the link in the discussion in week 14 as my final PowerPoint presentation. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to make a video for you, to present my findings and my research on a topic that's very valuable and very interesting to me, to talk to you about the positive impact that a police officer can have in a school setting, and to thank God for the opportunity that we have now to finish our projects and prepare for graduation. God bless you all. Thank you very much for being my teammates through this process. I'll be praying for each one of you, and maybe we'll be able to meet at graduation next week. Thank you.